welcome all of you. We're excited for this session. This is the Tips and Tricks session. We're changing the format this year. It's actually a panel, and our expectations is that it's actually a very interactive session. So the panelists are going to talk, obviously. If they have something that they want to add on to another panelist, so forth, they're going to, it's going to be a conversation. I also expect, hopefully, conversation from you all. If you have something to add on, maybe your experiences, some stuff that was successful, maybe even stuff that wasn't so successful. Raise your hand, I'll come around with a microphone. Or if you have a question, go ahead and feel free to ask questions. With this new format, we're very excited. Like I said, we are going to be recording, so we have a video recorder, we've obviously got the presentation, and we have audio recording, so hopefully everyone's comfortable with that. And if not, then don't ask a question, I guess. In terms of timing of this, it's going to be about an hour. We will stay for as long as necessary. We do have a Q&A section at the end. But my hope is actually, like I said, it's going to be interactive. Ask your questions as the panelists are talking, or provide some comments and feedbacks during that session. So I'm hoping actually the Q&A session isn't going to be that long. Our goal is to last about an hour, but we will be here up to 90 minutes. So that's what we've got the room for. So afterwards, if you have questions, feel free to stick around and we can answer them. We've got a distinguished panelist here. We've got a representation of various sizes and types of nonprofit organizations who have been with Coastside Gives a number of years. So we have Caitlin here from Coastside Hope. Brianna from El Granado PTO. And Laura from Half Moon Bay Sister City Association. And they will go in, they each have a section of this where they'll talk about their experiences with Coastside Gives, what works, what doesn't, what works, hopefully, maybe also what doesn't work. And we'll go through that, and then at the end, I will provide some more detailed information on some of the more robust features such as matching, fundraisers, peer-to-peer fundraising, those types of things, and go in a little bit more detail. But I thought it would be great to kick off with the panelists here and get that discussion rolling, get our blood pumping, and get some collaboration amongst ours. So we'll start with Caitlin.
All right, can everyone hear me? All right, my name is Caitlin Freeberg. I'm the Development and Operations Director at Coastside Hope. I am a staff member. Coastside Hope, if you're not familiar, safety net core agency. Our service area is Montera to Half Moon Bay, so we're a true Coastside agency. We're a large nonprofit with over $1 million budget. We've been participating in Coastside Gives from the beginning. I personally have been participating in Coastside Gives for 4 years. We have 9 board members. We are a fairly small team. We've recently increased our team to 12. When I started, we were 8, 12. There's a few part-time staff in that 12. We do have a lot of volunteers, the 200 volunteers yearly. Those really participate in our food distribution programs, our adoptive family program, Christmas program is a lot of volunteers and mostly volunteer run. So that's where that large number of volunteers come into play. As far as working on the Coastside Give plan, it's mostly just myself. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of the tools that I use. It's not meant to overwhelm you, although when I first came to my first Coastside Gives, I was extremely overwhelmed. So that's okay. One thing I want to touch on is the matching grants. When I first started at Coastside Hope, we had 2 families that donated. One was a $10,000 and another was a $5,000. So we had a $15,000 matching grant. That was wonderful. $15,000 to start off, and to match was a really, we were proud of that. I've got up to have worked with supporters and donors, and we're at $25,000 now. And the key piece that I like to, when looking at the matching grant, it's I don't know, it might sound stupid, but don't look at it as one person or one family or an individual coming up with 10, 15, 1,000, whatever your organization decides. Try to break it down into smaller amounts. If you're a smaller organization and you want to get a $5,000 matching grant or $1,000, see if you can look at your supporters from the previous years and see if you can get people to commit to $100, $200 to make that match. What I did is I looked at our donors from previous Coastside Gives. They were donating $1,000 or $2,000 to it. I contacted them before and expressed the gratitude and how thankful we were for their support, and asked if I could collect that a little sooner, and if they would want to be part of the matching grant pool. So that's how I got to the $25,000, and it's 7 different families / individuals that make up that $25,000 that we have. So that's.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, if you take a look at your past donors, and if you have some, maybe not giant donors, but big enough donors where that could be a matching grant, whether that's a few hundred or a few $1,000s, go out there and ask them to sponsor, because they're going to give that money anyway. And if that money then incents another donor to say, hey, my dollar's matched 1 for 1 or 2 for 1 or whatever it happens to be, that means that amplifies those matching funds there. So I think that's a great point. Yes.
So how does that actually work? You ask for the money ahead of time, and then you let people know that there is a matching grant?
Yeah, so, and they don't even have to give it ahead of time. They can kind of pledge it and say, make that commitment. And I'll go into that a little bit about the timeline. So the month of February and early March, I start reaching out to those supporters. A couple members are on our board. Look at your board and see if they can come up with a couple $100, depending on what your overall goal is. Coastside Hope's goal this year is $100,000, and it was the same as last year, $100,000. When I first started, it was $40,000 for our Coastside Gives goal. $100,000 is a lot to raise. The last couple years we've raised it. Sometimes on the ticker it's not fully there, but we do get offline checks. Some people still really want to send the checks in and not pay the transaction fees and those things. I do always encourage people to pay or to go through the Coastside Gives website, but some of our donors are older and they don't like that, and I say it's okay and they can send the check in. But yeah, so as long as they can pledge it, or usually when they ask, they're like, when do you need the check? I'm like, oh, by the end of April or middle of April would be cool. And then and I'll go into it further, I keep very detailed notes of everybody who's committed and pledged that. Does that answer?
Yes.
All right, moving on. The next thing that I use as a tool is our postcard. That postcard is designed by the Graphic Works. Everybody has access to it. There is a small fee to have the back of it custom to your organization. So I have, it's a win-win. It promotes Coastside Gives, and then on the back of it is about supporting Coastside Hope. I send that out in early April and start kind of getting people, hopefully they put it on their refrigerator or something, and I'm sure a lot of you have received that in the mail. The people that I send that out to is our current donors, and then I also send it out to a bulk mailing list that I purchased for our year-end solicitation. What that is the bulk mailing list is people that live in Montara, Moss Beach, El Granada, and Half Moon Bay. And so that is purchased I purchase that every year in April, and clean that up, add current donors, add past donors to it. So that's what I send my postcard out to.
Really quick, Caitlin, I'm going to interrupt. This slide presentation and the recording of this meeting will all be on the toolkit on coastsidegives.org. So I see some people taking pictures of the slides. Totally fine. You can do that if you want, but it will be there for you to access easily afterwards, just so you know.
Yeah, so that postcard is under the direct mail, and then I also send a letter. Part of it is knowing what your donor base likes, what they're used to as supporters. That letter will always include like a short client story, how many people that Coastside served in the last fiscal year, which is a large number of Coastsiders. Another question?
Caitlin, where do you purchase that mailing list from?
The bulk,
The question was where do you purchase the mailing list from?
yeah, Database USA, and if you wanna send me an email, I can send you my contact for that. It is a little bit of a process, cause you do wanna clean it up a little bit, you do get people that aren't super thrilled if someone has passed away, like, it's not 100% accurate, but there's some apologizing going on when people call you, but.
And you probably want to dedupe it with your current donor list
Yeah,
as well.
and then,
right?
yeah,
So-
there's a process to go through, yeah.
What's the cost of that?
The bulk mailing list last year was around $400 for high deliverables, Montera to Half Moon Bay is what I focus on. And then I do go through and take out, some of like, our clients' neighborhoods and things like that, which I don't wanna solicit them. All right.
By email.
Okay. Moving on to the email campaign. So I do use emails. One thing I can't stress enough, for a large organization, and this doesn't apply to everyone necessarily, is a donor management software. Just a way to keep your donors organized. We use Network for Good. It's recently been purchased by Botera or another organization. But it's just really nice to have a donation management system, and within that, I'm able to send emails as well. I don't love the exact customization, but it works pretty well. And I send about 6 emails. When early giving starts, I send an email in preparation for early giving. Then in mid-April, I look and send an email about our match and really promoting the match and trying to get people to commit to donating before actual Gives Day. And then I let people know when the Gives Day is almost here at the end of April, then on Gives Day, and then depending on how it's going, a push email to reach our goal. One key piece to that is I try to, it's a lot of work, but try to not keep sending the emails to people that have already donated, right? So that's where the donor management software is really helpful, because it, I start entering the donations as they're coming into Coastside Gives into our software. So all donations that go through Coastside Gives are also into the donation management software. I couldn't imagine being organized without it for us as a large organization.
You can't sync them. You couldn't take the list like
Yeah,
as of 6 o'clock and then merge it with that and
Yeah,
then give you the dupes.
I can do an export from the Coastside Gives database, with Mighty Cause, I believe it's called, and import it in. But when they're coming in 1 or 2 at a time, I'm just inputting them in by hand. Yeah, it's time, but it is effective when you're not keep soliciting people that are donating. They start to get annoyed. And I'm not perfect, and it does happen where someone's already donated, and I can only do so much sometimes. When I have an email scheduled, and I'm just trying to stay up on it.
For the match, for the match, do you put that out as of early giving, or do you suggest holding that for the day?
I don't hold it, it's out right away, I put it in the system, and sometimes it continues to increase, like, as I go through the plan, I email my contacts in February, March about, late February about participating in that match again, and I put it out right away. So the match, the 25,000 is done probably before Gives Day.
Okay, and also, and this might not even apply, but have you ever done, like, say, the day of, you're like, you hold back 5,000 and you're like, oh, we just got another match for 5,000?
I don't, but that is a great idea. Yeah, I don't, the capacity of one person, but that is a good idea to like an extra match with an email push to go out, say another family's committed another 5,000 to jump in, is a really good idea.
Yeah, I think I was gonna suggest that because of the time urgency, the sense of urgency with donors. Oh, we've got another match, maybe it's, you set a time limit, and it gets people to act immediately rather than, oh, the match is gonna be there later. Just say, hey, the first hour we've got a, $200 match, let's see if we can get it, that type of thing. or early giving, we've got a $5,000 match. Let's see if we can achieve the $5,000 match before even Give Day starts. So creating that sense of urgency with donors.
Yeah, and I'm really promoting the match on my postcard and my letter. Like, get your donation in, double your donation. Your $100 is now $200. Donors love that.
Yes, absolutely.
So the email solicitation, okay,
Let's talk about the bonus event, because I want to get there.
yeah.
I don't want to get.
And then the one last thing is, before the website pop-up, so in April, I do put a little pop-up right when you go to our website that promotes Coastside Gifts and really shoots people to donating there. And then the bonus event. The bonus is creating some sort of buzz closer to Coastside Gifts about your organization. And last year we did an open house at the end of April to promote our updated food pantry. And we we had tacos, and a lot of people came to that and created a lot of buzz around Coastside Gifts.
Yeah.
And Coastside Hope.
And do you know what you're doing this year?
Well,
Or can you tell us?
Thank you for that.
I can tell you, I'm really excited to announce that Coastside Hope has purchased a new building in Half Moon Bay.
All right.
Yeah, so it's a really, really exciting time. We've completely grown out of our cute little bluish purple building in El Granada. And we purchased the big office building next to the spray car wash on Main Street. So Coastside Hope will be moving to downtown.
Great.
Super excited about your building. I did want to add something about the website. If you currently have a donate button on your site, as soon as early giving opens, that donate button should redirect to your Coastside Kids page, so that those donations are then eligible for prizes. Otherwise, you're having two different donation streams, and you're not capturing those donors.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, next slide. All right, I'll speed up because we have two others, sorry, I'm taking too much time.
No, that's good. This is great.
So, like I said earlier, when I first started participating in Coastside Gifts, like in my first meeting, like probably some of you in this room, I was overwhelmed. Really suggest starting early and making a plan and taking notes. I still, to this day, every year, I have a Word document that I copy and paste every year and just keep updating, and it is my roadmap to Coastside Gifts. Because I don't know, for me, every year I come like, what did I do last year? And I like to have it already just written out for me. I have the days I emailed out, the days I sent the letter out, what day of the week it was, when the postcard went out, contact Kelly at Graphic Works around this time, contact the print house, order the envelopes, all that stuff. And then the other piece, like I spoke earlier, is organization with your donors and your sponsors and your supporters. We like a donor management system. We have over 6,000 donors in our system. Not all organizations have that. You're gonna be smaller, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, whatever it is, just be organized with those donors and supporters so you can solicit through email, through social media, through now text messaging, different ways. And then the plan, I kind of spoke on that earlier. I really start focusing on the first thing I do is my matching grants. Contact those supporters and maybe look at your donors from the last year, some of the people that donated, some of the bigger some. Hey, would you like to be involved in our matching grant? If they're gonna donate that anyway, reach out to them. The next, I prep my letter. I try to get as much done in March. Get the letter prep that I'm gonna be mailing out to our supporters. They like receiving that letter in the mail. Mail and postage is very expensive, so it is a commitment. The postcard gets sent out, then the email campaign. Email's a great way to reach your donors because doesn't cost anything. The website pop-up, and then if you can plan a bonus event, that would be really cool.
Great. Thank you. What's the one thing that you would advise everyone in this room as a takeaway? What's your recommendation?
Well, one thing I would say, making a plan, starting early, kind of creating a roadmap and giving yourself some deadlines for different pieces of it that you want to. And then also, I'm not great at it, and I'll say that, reaching out to other people to ask for help. I'm not the best at that, where I just kind of I'll just do it. But if there are other people in your organization that can help you, definitely utilize that.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that a little bit later, but when you say start early, you really mean start now.
Yeah, but it's,
Right, that's important.
starting now, I'm, gathering like a really
Yep.
good client story and, talking to the case managers about that stuff.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, now we'll switch to El Granada PTO and Brianna.
Thank you. My name is Brianna LaFontaine. I'm here for El Granada PTO, Parent Teacher Organization, and we are a medium nonprofit according to Coastside Gives. Our budget is about $90,000. El Granada PTO has been doing Coastside Gives for 7 years, and I've been doing it for 6. We have 8 board members this year, and we are all volunteer parents. So your organization's strengths are what will make your Coastside Gives Day a success. So realizing that there are many PTOs here on the coast, so realizing that we are reaching out to the same type of audience immediately helps each of us grow, not only in numbers, but with our knowledge. So by collaborating with organizations that have the same vested interest that yours does, I was trying to memorize this. You'll get to see how you can work together to help grow your Coastside Gives Day. So one thing the PTOs and our educational partners do, because our joint interest is helping our local public schools, is we make sure we have different power hours and then we support each of them. Like, that's kind of,
We knew that.
yeah.
It's all
Don't
the
think that's,
school that wins on a different hour.
yes,
knew
we
planned it
work
ahead.
together.
Excellent strategy.
Yes, thank you. We thrive in person. We're a school-based organization, so our events that we do for our school are in person. That is how our members and our families are used to getting together. So since that's part of our mission, which is creating school community events and fostering a sense of belonging, we use this during Coastside Gives. We normally have an in-person kickoff and then a power hour party. And I use the word event, but it doesn't cost us anything. It's like, hey, let's kick off Coastside Gives and meet at Hot Dogma. Or we'll, power hour, meet here at 5:30 because we're all gonna do this at 6. And not only are we getting together, we also support a business or person that supports us. So we use our event sites at our supporters' locations. And then so what brings us together is the age of our kids. So that means that us adults have a wide variety of interest, knowledge, whatever. And competition is one that runs through many of us. We can find quite a few of us who love a good competition. So we do tend to focus on the games. Like, it's just something that brings us together. And the strategizing, being able to work together is something we're good at and we enjoy it. Like, it helps our numbers because whether we win or not, we are all using whatever platform of games that have been given that year as something to reach out to more and more people.
So you really leverage the prize grants as a way to motivate yourselves and your donors.
Absolutely.
Right? Call to action of we want this prize.
Yes, it is. Those prize grants, like games, I just call that because we love that competition. Like, just because every parent thinks that, no, we can win it all. We do choose which prize grants we want to go for because my first year was like, let's just try. And then we realized what our strengths and weaknesses are during those prize grants. So we choose a few. I will say that it's good to stay open. Being on a PTO, since we age out as board members because your child no longer goes to that school. So we have rotating boards, every few years. So making sure that you stay open to new suggestions and new ideas, even if maybe it's something you thought of a few years ago, someone else might be able to pull it off, or it's just a different time, years, things have changed, and they can try that too.
Yeah, things definitely evolve,
Yeah.
both within your organizations as well as within the donor community. So just keep trying.
Yes.
Yeah, try. I think a lot of people here would love to be able to have the collaboration that the PTOs have, right?
Yeah.
How did that start? How can someone start that collaboration?
We're just best friends.
I know. We talk every day. So that's a good question, because I was trying to think of how I'm sure there's some of you that already know each other, and whether it's because you cross paths because of your organization or outside, working with other people who are participating in Coastside Gives is always a good idea. Even if we're competing for like prize grants or whatever, we all have the same goal of raising as much money as we can for the Coastside and our nonprofits. So just even if it's talking to each other about what you do, what works. Our PTO presidents from years back, like we got together because of helping our organizations outside of Coastside Gives, and then I was like, oh, let's also discuss what is working for each of us or not during Coastside Gives. We also have kids that overlap. We have kids at an elementary school and the middle school, and we don't want to bombard kids. We want parents to feel like they can help in multiple avenues. Boys and Girls Club, CEF, SIPA. Like, there's just overlap that's all helping the same group of children.
Yeah, and I think that's, you obviously with the PTOs and the academic organizations have a shared vision, and, you could definitely help each other, but they're also in some senses in competition as well. But for the rest of you, maybe we don't have that big of a category, cross work with other organizations that aren't maybe in your category, because like Brianna said, you could get ideas in terms of what's worked for them, what's worked for you, and sharing those ideas, I think, brings everyone up, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Our PTO and we have regular monthly meetings. There are board meetings, and then our principal has a meeting once a month for our school. We have varying groups on campus that meet in months. So at the beginning of the school year, our meetings are already in everyone's calendars. So we just use those meetings to discuss Coastside Gives and not add another something to someone's calendar. So we really take advantage of what is already existing in everyone's calendars, and we discuss. And like I said, as the ebb and flows of, in my case, elementary school, new people in, other people out, who's showing up, is where we can have really great discussions. And keeping the knowledge that we have of Coastside Gives. I'm not always going to be at El Granada, so making sure that I share as much information and what we've done and what worked with our group is key. So we meet, we discuss, people will send input, and then the next month we'll go over everything and let time people saturate with what they've learned, and then we go back and they're like, okay, these are the prize grants we're going to go after, these are donors we've reached, etc.
And that sounds like it's within El Granada PTO.
Mm-hmm.
How do you then take that with the collaboration to, or do you?
We do.
Okay.
The PTO leaders have a friendship. Most of us have been doing this for years. So we also created the PTO Alliance, so they will have meetings, or it's just through text, or we're at the same events together and discuss. There's not a lot of effort in making every PTO meet to discuss. It's more of an organic, okay, this is what you're doing, what are we doing, this discussion.
Yeah, that's great. It's more organic than formal.
Absolutely.
That takes less effort,
Yes.
and oftentimes
And that's what we
gives
need.
more ideas,
Yes.
more inputs.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
As I said, we reach out to known donors, and then we decide on our events where we're gonna host them. And by host, I mean show up. This is just where we're gonna have it. And we decide what are we gonna have the most fun with, because that's how our donors react. It's mostly our families with some outsiders, is what's the most fun that we can have with them, to get excited about giving money to our schools. And then who can handle what we want to do? So I can't handle all of it. We're all volunteers, and so whoever has like a passion for a various role, whether it's reaching out to donors, sending the emails, going after a certain prize grant, we let them do it and we roll with that. And it also strengthens the knowledge and lets that part grow among our members, so that when the time comes, we can roll this over a bit easier. And then, so I started this 6 years ago, and brand new, overwhelming. The 2 people I worked with were no longer, their kids are in high school now, was like, well, we've only done this once. So we started, and I have learned what works for us, and we repeat. There's certain sections that it just works for us. Power Hour works for us. Like games work for us. We are not we're not gonna get large singular donations, so it's reaching out to the most amount of people that we can, like those $10, $50, $100, like that's what's making up the bulk of ours. And so I believe our goal 6 years ago was $10,000, and we didn't meet it. And I think we kept at $10,000 the first years, didn't meet it. Third year met it. So if this is my 6th, somewhere up there it was like 15, 20, and we went over and we went over. And then this year our goal is $30,000. We also removed a major fundraiser that we have now let Coastside give offset, and so that's helped our donor base, so they don't have 2 things to donate for, they can focus on one. But we're finding our stride, and it may have taken a couple of years, but we're doing it, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, I think that's a great example. So you tested, learned, and you can see through the actual donations that you're building momentum by emphasizing those things that work. But then also, I think also going back and, as you said, as things evolve, making sure that you're reassessing the strategies.
Absolutely.
Right? But yeah, that test and learn and grow is a great mantra. Any questions?
I was just curious, did you discuss the left-hand image?
Did I discuss it?
Did you explain?
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, no.
that's not her image. That's
No.
I actually took that off of someone's social media.
But I can.
Okay,
Okay, that is part of, sorry, it's part of our collaboration. So yes, I don't know, I can't remember who exactly coined that term, but these are 10 public school education-based organizations that do Coastside Gifts. And so we all 10 have different power hours, and this was how to turn $100 into $10,000, because for the last few years, I don't know what's happening this year, if you win your power hour, you win $1,000. So every person who donated $100, $10 to each organization could fund $10,000 for public school kids.
And I think the important thing to add about that is the key to that collaboration is that all of those organizations help promote each other,
Mhm.
right? So that they're amplifying messaging and reminding and getting out to more people, so.
Yeah, this is an example of an Instagram post, and I forget who posted it, but
Well, we all did.
yeah.
So, all
Where I
10
stole it from.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Yes.
So you're able to,
You are able to select the power hour. Everybody can select which power hour they want.
Yes, there.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it like first come?
No. I can.
No, I know that you go against somebody, but
So I can speak to how it's been done, because we are always told each year, we don't know what's gonna happen. But historically on Power Hour, your organization just chooses a time. We haven't had to write it out before. One year you could, if you wanted to let people know, but it could also change. I believe, like, we always stick to our same hour and that's it, but I know that there have been organizations that are like, we'll try at 10 a.m., we didn't get it, we're gonna let our donors know we're trying again at noon. I wouldn't suggest that, like, our donors are gonna try one time. That's where their money's going. But there isn't a registration, you don't know who's gonna be doing it. I mean, you can start watching numbers and like So we usually have a pretty good idea just based on watching everyone's numbers go up during a certain hour that that was when their Coastside Gives is. But it's something that you promote and choose within your own organization.
So we would know if we're going up against the school.
Would not-
You would if you follow any of us on social media. We promote our times very
Okay.
publicly.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would suggest talk to other organizations, because you don't wanna compete with large organizations, because that's gonna be really challenging. So talk to each other.
It depends on what the power hour.
Depends on your time.
And it depends on the time and what the goal is as well. So it's not necessarily geared to all large organizations, right? It's geography, it could be geography, number of donors, amount of donations, those types of things, right?
Yeah, it's the power hour, it's just most donate, I don't think
Okay,
it's,
sorry.
right, I don't think
Most individual donors.
Most individual, unique,
Okay, sorry.
unique donors in the hour.
But that may change.
Does
Right.
Coastside Gives provide us the list of all these power hours?
No.
No.
So we.
Okay.
A power hour is something you
We
create.
don't, yeah, it's in,
I know, but then we also report to you when we're doing it.
No,
But we could.
you could.
It's a suggestion that we've definitely been kicking around for this year, but historically, we do not publish the power hours, and they are a window, so I also wanted to say that. It's not any hour within the 24 hours. During the prize presentation, you'll learn the parameters. We change the prizes every single year. There are slight variations, so don't hold what we say today as the word in cement, because it's gonna change, which is why the prize meeting is so vitally important, so that you really understand the nuances of what the prizes will be this year. Brianna's done a great job kind of explaining how it's worked in the past, but it could be different this year.
March 29th,
I know.
this one. That's when the prize meeting occurs, March 29th, yes. Just before we end up, Brianna, what's the one thing that you would advise the nonprofits in this room to do?
Well, it was pay attention to what works for you. Like comparing yourself to other organizations, I'm not them, you're not me, or our organization. Do what works for you, what fits best for your organization, what feels best for your organization, who you reach out to, if you do prize grants, how you run your meetings. Just really follow, you all know your own organizations, and working with that is the best thing to do.
Great, thank you, that's great advice. Okay, now we'll move over to Laura and Husband Bay Sister City Association.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura Acton and I am with a group called the Half Moon Bay Kariwa Sister City Association. We're essentially a group that fosters cultural exchange between our sister city in Japan, Kariwamura, and Half Moon Bay. And we do foreign exchanges, homestay foreign exchanges. And we're tiny. This will be our second year doing Coastside Gives. It's also my second year in our group, which is exciting. And yeah, we're at each meeting, it's around 7 to 12 people, and we're all volunteers. For our first year of Coastside Gives, we really focused on social media and the social media prizes. I ended up spearheading that for us because I like to use social media and I have a general understanding of how it works. But the thing that was exciting about using social media through Coastside Gives is that we were able to apply something unique to our posts and our imagery and all of our messaging, and that was me wearing my yukata. A yukata is it's like a kimono that's more casual than a silk kimono. It would be something that you wear to festivals, summer festivals outside, stuff like that. So for all my posts, I dressed up and took pictures of myself at all of the different sponsor areas. And I think it got us a lot more eyes and a lot more attention. I think focusing on something like that is unique to your organization is a way to create a buzz around what your organization is all about. Before I did this for us, I definitely was inspired by PTOs who go to, who take their pictures and do their social media challenges with adorable kids, or their kids' mascots, or the Half Bay High School kids that are wearing their jerseys while they're raising money for, their sports programs and whatnot. Coastside on bikes last year, all of their pictures were them when they biked to different places. Like all these little touches and little things, you're like promoting what your organization is about while also completing the challenge. And I think it creates more of a connection with people who are trying to learn about who you are and what you are. I also will say that social media can be challenging. I think a lot of the time I talk to folks who look at social media and think, well, I'm just not very good at that. I don't understand how it works. I'm just not gonna try it. And what I wanna push in relationship to Coastside Gives is that it's absolutely worth it to push through that and go through the process of doing these social media prizes, whatever they end up being this year, right? Things change from year to year. Why I like to focus on these, not only for all the reasons I've already said, but whatever the social media prizes are, you're not in competition with anyone else. You're just there to promote yourself and to promote the sponsors that are involved and spread the word about yourself. And if you just do the steps of making a certain amount of posts or making the YouTube video, whatever it is, it's free money. It seems like such a no-brainer for me. Like, of course we were going to jump in and try to spread the word about our group while also earning money that way through Coastside Gives.
Can I step in real quick?
Yes, please.
Just because we don't know what the prize grants are, there were social media challenges in the past where there were winners. So just what we're saying is what we know, what has happened in the past. So I agree, always use social media, but we don't know what it's gonna be like, so there may be a competition. Like there may not, we don't know.
That's also correct. That was in relation to last year where it was, do these posts in this way, do a YouTube video in this way, and you will earn the prize. It absolutely could change from year to year.
Just, if I can jump in, just curious, how many people currently use social media as a main component to their outreach? And how many want to, but just don't either have the resources or knowledge? Okay. Yeah, I think, the last two bullet points here, look throughout your organization for someone who's tech savvy or has kids that are tech savvy, go ask for help. It's something that, there's, somebody knows somebody who is heavily into tech. My daughter does social media for California State University, Monterey Bay. And so, she's my go-to in terms of, okay, how do I want to post this? What do I want to hashtag? Who do I want to add? Those types of things. And I think everyone around in here knows somebody, whether that's, in your organization or outside your organization, who can help and would be willing to help, be willing to pass along the knowledge of exactly how to post, when to post, those types of things.
Absolutely, that's great advice. I was gonna say, even if it's not someone in your board or directly in your group, a neighbor, a sibling, a family member, anyone who feels like they can spend 20 minutes with you talking to you about how to achieve your social media goals.
One of us.
Yeah. Or one of us working with any of the other organizations. I'd be more than happy to talk to folks about like what worked with our social media Coastside Gives strategies, all that kind of stuff.
And I'm sure there's plenty of people who want to be stars in social media so they can add to your content. Yes, you have a question?
Oh, I was just gonna mention, I saw, I think Coastside 365 has Canva training. Canva's a really good tool.
Just wanted to know. Are you talking? Okay, so loud. I saw that Coastside 365 has Canva training, and Canva's a really great tool to get you started to sort of make your posts look. They're not maybe not as real, but it's a really good tool. I think it's a free training that they have. I don't know when the next one is.
Yes, I was gonna say that's a great suggestion. I know Canva offers a free version of their software, so that's absolutely an avenue that you can use for creating your visuals. Oh, nonprofits get it for free, that's a good. Thank you for the heads up. I actually don't use Canva, but that's awesome that nonprofits can use that.
There you go.
especially if you can have more features and all of the things.
Great.
So, like I said, last year was our first year, and wrapping up, I guess, what we learned and what we thought worked well. I think thinking strategically from the very get-go helped us and will continue to help us as we go into our second year. As others have said up here, at first when you start this, it feels a little bit overwhelming because there are so many different challenges or prizes or different things that you can choose to do. But for us, we looked at all of that information and thought, what are the 2-3 things that we can approach and really focus on those challenges so that we can earn that money. For us, we focused on the new participation prize. It was nonprofits who, it was their first year, the most unique donors out of all of those nonprofits that were new. So we looked at that particular prize and thought, okay, there's not that many new nonprofits, so it will hopefully be easier to achieve that goal because we're competing with less folks. That was something that we decided to do. And then, yeah, the social media prizes, which were a certain number of posts, as well as a YouTube video. I believe those are 2 separate prizes. And then something that we learned is that doing all of these, focusing on the social media stuff like we did, really helped us to build our presence. And Coastside Gives in general helped us to build our presence. We didn't have a donor list before Coastside Gives. So now the beginning of our donor list and our donor base completely started with this event. And it's hard to explain how valuable that is to have now, because now we have people that we are able to connect with month after month, year after year. Our organization didn't do any exchanges throughout COVID for obvious reasons. But this year we are ramping it up. We have 2 students from Japan coming in March and April, and then summertime, probably July-ish, is when we're going to be sending Coastside students to Kaiwamura, Japan. So we have all these exciting things that are happening this year, and now we have, I would call them a donor base and maybe a fan base, people who care about our organization and want to know what we're doing, and now we have that collection of contacts to spread that information to them, and we have that because of Coastside Gives, so that's absolutely invaluable.
Yeah, I love the fan base moniker, that's great. And it's obviously Coastside Gives is a huge fundraiser, but it's not just that. And I think this is a great point. Build presence, get yourself known in the community, especially if you're new. People, this is a great way to amplify your message out there and build that fan base that then becomes donors, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And even a slightly related point is just how building that fan base opens up new opportunities for your organization. We, through Coastside Gives and spreading our information around and getting people to know about who we were, we got to meet with the Karen who runs the Half Moon Bay High School Community Service Hours group. We got to go to their service jam events where different groups come and have students look at their volunteer opportunities. We're turning our trip into something that can be partially community service hours oriented. So there's definitely things that you do on your trip, or at least when I went, that could count towards your high school community service hours. So something like that came from Coastside Gives and spreading our information out through Coastside Gives, through a Coastside Gives lens. So yeah, just lots of new opportunities come forward when you start to put yourself out there.
Great, thank you. And that one thing you want to pass along to everyone else?
Set realistic goals and work on planning through those goals early with your group.
And by early, you mean now?
Yeah, like right about now. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Well, that's the end of the panelist section. So, huge round of applause for these guys. Very useful. If you don't mind staying up here, because I'm going to ask you a few questions as we go through these slides as well, and ask you guys questions as well. But this next section, I want to talk about some specific fundraising tools that we have as part of the Mighty Cause platform through Coastside Gives and some other areas. One is to talk about the matching grants. So how many people use matching grants again? And how many people want to use matching grants but haven't done it? Okay, I think everyone in this room either does it or wants to do it. And so, matching grants are great. Once you have them, you'll notice that there's a big badge on the donate that incents people to understand that, hey, there's a matching grant, there's stuff you can put on your profile to promote that. But I think most importantly, and I've got an example of the HEAL project here, promote it. Either through social media, through your direct mail, even word of mouth or your events. Promote that there's matching grants. It's a really powerful tool, again, to get those donors to say, hey, my dollars go further than with these matching grants, and I'm going to apply those dollars accordingly. So the promotion is a big thing. And then we're talking about now, get started early. Consider which sponsors that you want to get those matching grants. I think that earlier we talked about looking at your donor list, get those large donors that then convert those donations actually into matching grants, so you start to double up some of those larger donations. I think that was a great idea. If you're just starting out, keep it simple. You could have multiple matching grants. You can have matching grants at different times. I talked about strategies around having matching grants maybe as part of early giving, and then withholding some and having an hour or something like that of matching grants within that. Those are all great strategies, but if you're just starting out, just keep it simple. Simple matching grant, and then once it's filled, then go look for other matching grants after that. But just keep it simple for this piece. Any questions on matching grants?
Yeah.
Yes.
The people who give the matching money don't show up in our total on the Coastside Gives website.
Yeah.
That's only.
Yeah, that's correct.
So we originally set our goal for a total, but that included the matches. So if we never make our goal.
No, so it'll show up on your ticker, your thermometer, I don't know what you want to call it. It'll show up that as your total, but your matching dollars get sent directly to you.
Right.
And so your check is going to be reflected differently, and the prizes get reflected differently, because we're taking your word that you got $10,000, but we don't actually know that $10,000 came. So that is offline and a little bit.
Yeah.
Did that start with Mighty Cause that you guys started tracking as the matches were met?
No.
It was the other platform?
Yeah, both platforms.
Yes.
You can always enter it as an offline donation, and that can be effective. I mean, you'll pay the fee, but it's a lower fee than the credit card. Don't you pay a fee if I enter it offline?
No, we didn't.
Okay, even better, right, I still did it. But that can then up your total and people get all excited about it, and people feel like they've gotten credit for it, so we always enter it as an offline donation.
Well, on Mighty Cause website, there is a matching area. So as soon as you enter, I'm sure, well, it hasn't opened yet, but like if Coastside Hope enters their $25,000, they're already at their $25,000 as it matches, you put in your match, and then as the dollars come in, it'll be times 2 of what you're doing. So it will increase as the donations start coming in. But matching is an option on our website that you enter the amounts in, and then it'll start increasing against them.
Any other questions? Okay. Next is promote through fundraising campaign. So a fundraising campaign is a specific campaign within your organization that allows you to set a specific purpose, a specific monetary goal, and or a specific timeline. So you can leverage these to really, again, create little segmentation as you go through early giving through the day of, hey, for this part of the giving day, you can say, I'm going to, I think a good example is the Friends of Half Moon Bay Park and Rec. They are promoting the aquatics pool, so you can set up aquatic center, sorry. You can set up a specific campaign within that to promote that particular piece. It's great for soliciting donations for a specific cause, so if someone wants to, the aquatic center also is separate, but if let's say that wasn't the case, if wanted to specifically donate for the aquatic center, that can be done through this campaign. And if you use the timelines, you can use a sense of urgency there and combine it with even the matching funds, right? So you can combine those two together. This allows you to promote it on social media as a specific fundraiser. And again, the timing piece. You can even create an event fundraiser. So we talk a lot about offline events leading up to a Gives Day. If you can create an event fundraiser specifically for that event and understand and drive people to that when they're at that event to donate to that particular fundraiser, you can gauge how successful that event is right there with the monetary contributions. And allows you, I think, to extend Giving Day as part of the early giving opportunity. So, combine that with your on-site event, and you'll be able to, I think, again, generate, amplify and promote your funds. In addition to that, make it personal with peer-to-peer. So your donors can actually work for you, right? How many of you would like your donors to actually raise money on your behalf? Well, not everyone, okay? I guess you know your donors well. But there is a fundraise button that allows the donors to actually not just donate, but actually fundraise and go out to their own personal content. Many of you have donor lists already, but those donors have their own lists as well, and they have their own social media accounts. So this gives them the opportunity to fundraise on your behalf, and that's easy money for you all, right? And I know some of you are strapped for resources and things like that. Have your donors do the work for you. And you can set up templates for them. So when they click on fundraiser, they can select a template and it automatically has all the messaging and imaging and social media posts available to them. So if you set that up, it's making your donors work for you and again, amplifying and the amount of donations you get. You can also enroll and energize your team. Anyone here who has a staff, you should create a team fundraiser and have some competition, or even amongst the PTOs, have some competition with that team fundraiser. It has leaderboards, it has, you can add prizes, the winner gets to wear a crown at the PTO meetings, the loser has to bring the donuts, right? So, that builds the energy amongst your team members and actually gets them more involved in your Coastside Gives effort. If you're the solo person in charge of this, you're the lone wolf running with these things, this allows you then to bring people in and solicit that help, not just with activities, but actually with donation and effort, and gets your team active in promoting your Coastside Give Day. So any questions on fundraisers, peer-to-peer? Yes?
I have one question. So on the donors working for you, does that then, if they hit the donate button, does that then take them to our Coastside Gives?
The donate button here, yes. And then if they create a fundraiser, it's on the Mighty Cause under your umbrella, and any donations that come in through that fundraiser, whether it's team, peer-to-peer, or your own, get slotted into your total.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And is that money that they bring in, is it kept separate in like a little bubble so that we know that that's from that particular fundraising?
It all gets put in the pot, but you have reports that allow you to report on how your fundraisers are doing. So each individual, so if I come in and join as create a fundraiser for El Granada PTO, you will see how much money I make, what my goal is, and how much money and how I've achieved that goal.
A lot of times people will utilize their board members for this too, and so they'll have their board members each set up a peer-to-peer fundraiser, and then there's competition amongst the board members, right? Like, can every board member raise us $200? And then you'll see that once they hit that $200, you can see the people that are like, well, I got 300 or I got 350. And so it's a real friendly competition, as Brianna said, kind of helps spur donations sometimes. So that's kind of the tool we use for those things.
All right, next I want to talk about creating effective donor outreach campaigns. I think we talked a little bit about, or a lot about this actually, but really understanding what your strategies are, what works for you, what works for your donors, who are you targeting? Are you targeting large or small donors, new or existing donors? Crafting the message and the method to be able to meet or get that outreach out to those, get your message out to those donors, those potential donors. And really, so it's, who are you targeting? What is the method that you want to target those? What can you handle within your organization and your staff? And then, what are you saying? What is that message? How are you soliciting? Is it going to be a consistent message across all donors? Or are you going to tailor that message based on whether large, small, returning, those type of things? So those are the types of things that you need to think about. Whether it's, over here we've got the postcard from Coastside Hope, or Alas's Instagram post in Spanish. So reaching out to different audiences in different ways, and just thinking about what's your donor base and what you think is going to be effective, and then test and learn. Document what you've done this year was successful, use that again, and test other things and drop what wasn't successful. You can plan coordinated campaigns across media, right? So if it's the Aquatics Center, you'd be able to coordinate the same message across media, or tailor to different ones. Leverage the reports within Mighty Cause for those who are returning. You've got donor reports from last year, all your donors. You've got retention reports. These are all available within Mighty Cause. You can take a look at that, see who your large donors are, see where they're at geographically, and if you've got a lot of donors up in Montero, then have an event up there, right, and get more donors to try to amplify again that base. And then share the results. I think the key is let those donors rejoice in your success. I think me as a donor coming in, I always feel great when my donations leads to achieving the goal. And if even if you don't achieve that goal, it's successful. Everyone is raising money, and so let them rejoice in that. And be sure to thank them, and thank your team members because they're working hard. Thank your sponsors because they're helping out, and obviously thank the donors. Yeah.
Quick question. So we were talking about how people can set up their fundraising pages.
Yeah.
Does the platform allow you to set up sort of a queue for that? In other words, let's say I go and donate, and then once my donation processes, it suggests, hey, do you want to set up a fundraising page to raise money from your friends?
Right now, it's that button that's there next to the donate, but I think that's a great idea to be able to, once they're donating, then have that fundraiser. I'll have to take a look to see if the checkout can be customized to that. So I'll if it is, then I'll add that into this spreadsheet. Yes?
Yeah, I've seen sometimes when I've donated to other organizations, then it'll say, share this.
Yeah, it allows you to share the fact that you donated, but I think taking it a step further is create a fundraiser. Now that you've donated, thank you, but let's get your friends involved too. Yeah.
I just want to say one thing about the thank you piece. That's such an important piece. Donors like to be thanked. One thing we added like 2 years ago, because they do receive the donation letter through email that they've made through Mavericks Community Foundation, but we switched, instead of sending them another letter, that's where I use my board members, they handwrite thank you cards to our donors and supporters, and people really like that.
Again, solicit help. All right, last but certainly not least, pump it up with prize grants and leaderboards. So as you all know, I think we get sponsors to be able to provide prize grants. And it's really, we talk about the games and the gamification, the competition around these grants. It's a very important part. But also, even if you participate in the prize grants, even if you don't win that prize grant or you don't win that power hour, it provides that buzz and the excitement that we've talked about early in the presentation of that competition, getting people involved, getting them mobilized to donate to your power hour. Even if you're not the winner, you're a winner. So please pay attention to that. The previous prize grants, the power hours, the early bird, social media challenges, golden tickets, March 29th, you'll find out all information around what the prize grants. It's a mandatory meeting. And you'll learn, you'll get all your materials there, which includes, I forgot to talk about the signs a little bit, but it includes these signs right here, and to be able to, the lawn signs, and
it'll also be posters, and then if you'd like to buy t-shirts or hats, that'll be available at that meeting as well.
Are the customized ones new?
No, so I happened to have that one at the Graphic Works as I was cleaning up last year's signs. People have purchased, I think there was also one for Sister City. You can go out on your own, and all the logos are available online for exactly that reason. If you want to go out and make some of your own signs, it isn't your own expense, but it's very powerful if you also have your own logos. I know that La Honda also has like
very,
Durable, they last.
they last,
They last.
and they're inexpensive. I mean, we got 10, it was like $120.
Oh.
And people post them, and then every year I tell them, are you willing to keep it, or do you want me to store it? And then a lot of them that keep it, then all I have to do, confirm they're still gonna put it out, and send them the email in the middle of first or second week of April, time to put it up, and it's done. It's
And you see them everywhere, and at least I do. So. Okay, in the back, question.
I'm wondering if Caitlin would be willing to share your cheat sheet, just as a idea.
She'll share it for a donation, or sponsorship, sorry, sponsorship. Yeah. That's
My cheat sheet's very in-depth. I can share a piece of it, I'll have to take over, like, I have detailed information on my matching grants and who those people are, and some don't want their names to be shared, but I can meet with you later and share some of that stuff with you, absolutely.
Yes?
Has anybody used a software program for text messages?
Yeah, so the Network for Good that I use, which I do really like our donor management, it sends text messages and emails, and it keeps it all in one place. So that's Network for Good, and I can,
Network for Good?
yeah, and it sends text messages as well.
I know Fairlawn View Elementary used to use a text service too, and the name is escaping me right now, but I could easily look it up.
And then like send it out or?
Yeah, and they said it was really easy for people to send out emails, because that's how the PTO started, it was literally parents texting each other in the middle of the day. Now's the time, donate now, because emails are great, but your phone's probably in your hand or in your pocket.
What was the name of the donation software again?
The donation software that we use, it was never for good, but it's recently been bought by Bonterra or something like that. Bonterra. It's really good, it does emails, and the thing that I like, one person, I don't want to be doing MailChimp and having all these different things. I want it all in one place. And so then I can see my donors' interaction. They opened that email, they got that text message, they clicked here. So I like it all in one place. Is it 100% perfect? No, but it really, as a one-stop shop, that's what I need. It works for me. And I can come visit at Coastside Hope, and I can show you and walk you through and see if it's something that'll work for you.
I just want to mention the Canva workshop is February 22nd, 6 to 8 at the new Opportunity Center on Main Street. It's free food. So just so you guys know.
Is that something we can maybe post and we'll put into this?
Yeah.
We'll have, okay. Yeah, so Mary, if you can send that to me, I'll put it in the presentation.
All right.
Okay, anything else? Okay, as usual, I'm here. Well, we've got resources available, and this is again all embedded in the presentation. Presentation and the recording will be up on the toolkit shortly, and then myself and Mighty Cause. Thank you so much, appreciate it. See you on the 29th.
Yeah, I'm gone. Yeah, I'm out of here. I have to like attend a lot of the other meetings.